Oh, there he is. Just put... Oh, hold on. Uppercut. Sonic boom. Well, hello there, humans of his earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. So far this week, we've talked about the new Mini 14, the SKS, how good it is. We've talked about all kinds of things. And today we're going to talk about 3 particular weapons that are not really that attractive anymore, that have been left behind by the game and the meta. And that's going to give us a little bit of an idea on where we're at and what needs working on. Now, obviously, this is due to guns like the AKM that you can see here, which was already solid and in a good place in the meta, and then they improved the bullet speed, so it was more accurate, and they improved the recoil, so it was easier to fire, and then they gave it incredible limb damage, and I don't know, you tell me. They improved the rate of fire, like everything, and then the Scar all got the same kind of treatment. To the point where, I mean, like, these are really, like, these are crate level weapons like a couple of seasons back, and now they're just well drop weapons. And that's left a lot of guns in the lurch. Now I'm going to talk about 3 particular weapons. There is an honorable mention here. This is the Mark 47 Mutant. Look, it sucks. It sucks right now. It's nowhere near where it should be, and I don't even think it's worth a conversation. If you want to talk about the Mark 47 Mutant, go for your life, but I can't even find the thing in game. I want to talk about the gun that I already mentioned this week. Oh my God. I hit him with my car. Yeah. The M762, obviously, which we did talk about. I did a video on this, so I won't go too deep on that one. The M16A4. I'm going to talk about this gun in particular. I used it a lot. I played a lot with all these guns to make sure that I wasn't going crazy and that I was in fact correct. And I found, like the M249 here, that you can use these weapons and you can be successful with them, but they're always the second best option at the bare minimum. And that's kind of sad for me, because I look at guns like the Mark 47 Mutant and the M762, and they're like second and third best to the AKM. And I mean, I'm using an Uzi here, and I'm intentionally using an M16A4, which we're going to talk about first. And any fully auto weapon in the game would be easier to do stuff with than that. Like, that was torture. And I died a lot getting this content. So let's talk about it. The M16, it's a burst fire weapon. It has the old damage numbers. So the AUG has 43 base damage. The Scar has 42 base damage. And the M16 has the same base damage as the M416, 40.9. which is lower. So obviously that's not that great. It has 937 meters a second bullet speed, which is good, but so does like the AUG and the Scar and the M4. And that's kind of where it ends. It's very difficult to use the burst fire. The burst used to be great in terms of it was very close together, but now you've just got to really use it as a single shot, because once you get over about 10 meters, that burst is going absolutely nowhere. And while you can pull off great little clips like this, which look amazing, the general rule of thumb is that it's not very good in any kind of CQC capacity or close combat capacity. What it's always been renowned for is this, and it still does this very well. It's a good pretend DMR. But the problem was always that it was a cross between the Mini and the M16. Like, which one did you want to use for your long-range DMR spam? And a lot of people swore by the M16. But, I mean, that's over now. The Mini 14 is so much better than the M16 at single tapping. It's crazy. It has the same kind of recoil, okay? The same kind of recoil, but where the M16 has 40.9 base damage, the Mini 14 has 53.9. So it's 25% more damage. 25% more damage. It also has another 70 meters a second bullet speed. So while it's quite possible to use it for these things, and it's fine if that's all you've got, the Mini 14 is a lot better. And this is where we're talking about these guns that have been left behind. It was already a niche weapon that was very difficult to justify outside of extraordinarily gifted players. And now it's a weapon that is not even the best at its niche. And that's left the M16 for me as one of the most power crept weapons in the game. Now, there are other guns that I think are worse than the M16, but that doesn't mean that it's in a good place. In fact, what I found was that it was challenging, and I actually enjoyed it because it was challenging, if that makes any sense. And pulling off little clips like this to just really smack it out to win a game is great, but it's by no means the norm. Let's talk about the M249 now, number 2 on our power creep list. And this is really a weapon that has had some strange goings on. This is a recoil test for the M249. Standing, crouched, and you'll see the vertical recoil. And now watch the recoil here. When you lie down with this thing, the recoil just goes side to side instead of up and down. And you think that'd be a good thing, but it doesn't really make it any easier to hit. Horizontal recoil at that level is really hard to handle. So you can't even take advantage of the fact that it's an LMG and you can lie down with it and get a recoil reduction vertically because it just doesn't really work. What it's got going for it is very simply an extraordinarily large magazine capacity. It doesn't have a great rate of fire. Its rate of fire is, in fact, it's been all over the place. There was a time when this was a crate weapon, okay? And the M249, when this was a crate weapon, was amazing. It had 43 base damage, or 46, I think, base damage, and had a 0.085 second rate of fire. It was like 700 rounds a minute, right? For some reason, it got pulled out of crates, the damage got dropped to 40 base, and the rate of fire went up ever so slightly. And it's just basically made it an inferior 5.56 AR. The only thing it has going for it is the fact that it has so many rounds at 150 rounds with an extended mag that it can fire a long time without reloading. But you can see the recoil. Like, here's me trying to be tricky. It's hard. It's really hard. Hit him. But thanks for the lag. It doesn't have that 5.56 AR ability to control its recoil to the point where you can actually use it to spam at long range. So you have to be lying down and they have to be kind of stationary for it to be of any value whatsoever. So that's the M249. For me, an incredibly power crept weapon that it just doesn't feature. Like, more ammo is not really a problem. It's like, there's plenty in the clip. You can do this with any full auto weapon. Just 150 rounds. When did anyone go, you know what the M249 needs? It's 150 rounds. Speaking of guns that you can do anything with, this is the M762 barrel. I have loved this gun forever, and I did a video on it, the death of the M762, but it was a short video this week, and I didn't play it a lot prior. I just knew stats-wise it was not as good as an AKM. And I found that that's absolutely true. The barrel of all these three weapons is probably the most controversial inclusion because you can still use the barrel. You'll see these clips. I'm shredding a lot of these people with the barrel M762. But my question is that, realistically, what could I have done in these clips that I couldn't have done better with an AKM? And it's a lot like when we do the M16 versus Mini 14 thing. Sure, the M16 can tap fire fast, but the Mini 14 can tap fire just as fast with just as little recoil and 25% more damage. Well, the AKM can fire just as fast with probably better recoil, and it does it with that crazy 32.4 limb damage. And the reason why all these people are nude as well is because I had to reinstall the game. I was getting a lot of screen lock. And when I reinstalled the game, there's an 8 gig download for all the skins. 8 gig. This game has gotten massive. So the M762 is a gun that still works, but it's now no longer the primary AR for CQC. I mean, you could make a case that the Scar-L is better in CQC than the M762. It's certainly got much better bullet speed. The bullet speed lets this thing down tremendously. Having 697 meters a second bullet speed in this current meta is just bad. It's once you get past 20 and 30 meters, the 5.56 ARs start to gobble you up and dominate. And it's never had enough base damage to outshine the AKM in that respect. So you're really, with the barrel, dealing with a situation where it's good, but it just ain't the best. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Lots more content to come. Stick around. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. If you do me a huge favor, if you found this kind of a conversation interesting, leave a comment below and tell me what kind of content you'd like to see and what kind of content your buddies are into. Anyway, I'm Bushka. You're the humans. Look after yourself. Stay safe in the battlefield. And as always, bye for now. Au revoir. Go, 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 go.